proceed, and you developed a process whereby you would engage in six key areas to complete that review. And I think it was very successful. I know probably, I say under 100, it's probably between 75 and 100 people participated in one way or the other in one of those 6 sessions. Every year at budget and forever after, when we talk about strategic plan, I'm always going to put this slide up for you just to remind you of the plan framework, where the vision, mission, and action sit as far as the strategic plan goes, where the official plan for the County of Wellington that was approved in 1999 and that we've commented on to the county sits. And that's based on provincial policy, and council can't make any decisions that are contrary to the official plan, and any official plan must be consistent with provincial policy. Interesting, those 2 documents are still under review. Our strategic plan, if you see fit tonight, would be in place. From the official plan and the strategic plan fall out of these specialized plans you hear us talk about from time to time: the integrated community sustainability plan, the culture plan, fire master plan, roads needs study, the financial plans, and DWQMS that we do at budget. Those sorts of things all come out at budget. We call them business plans. Really what those are is those cover sheets that are on each budget that outline additions to the budget, staffing implications, those sorts of things. So we'll always do this. We should always link that into the strategic plan, and that way all of us have in mind what the core direction of the municipality should be when we're dealing with the budget issues. So the plan format, as you have, has vision and mission, a process that we use to get to where we are, a format and guiding principles, the 9 core business areas, a timeline and implementation schedule, a plan evaluation, our brand positioning, and appendices. And in the appendices, if you care to read them, are accounts of all 6 sessions that we had, plus the public meeting, plus the 2 staff meetings that we had on the implementation of the plan. The new vision for the town of Minto, if you see fit to approve it, is exactly that: a friendly, safe, affordable, family-oriented rural community built on a foundation of respect, volunteerism, and prosperous business, and sustained by people who value neighborliness, fairness, and inclusiveness. That's not my vision, that's not your vision, that's the community's vision. We've refined it as a group. We spoke about it at the emergency services session, and this is the way the plan reads. So that's our beacon in the distance, to use the imagery. We've been drudging through this whole process, so that's our lighthouse in the distance. Our way of navigating to that point, our mission is providing cost-effective and responsive local government through superior customer service, internal stability and efficiency, and promoting responsive economic growth, healthy lifestyles, and respect for the natural environment. So day to day, these are the things we ought to be thinking about as we're all doing performing our various roles, working with our partners. The guiding principles, more than anything, are likely the most important thing that have come out of this document, in that it kind of gets us to think about who we are and where we're going. So these are mentioned at the beginning of the document: the community identity, the one town feel. So we talked at length about, while we still want to be the town of Minto, we have a one town feel about us. There is still individual communities, whether it's Drew or Palmerston or Harrison or Clifford or any other small community within Minto. Each of them, it's okay for them to have identities, but we still want to promote that one town feel. We always want to be transparent. I think this council's made some strides in this area with the budget process that you have, with the televising of the council meetings, with the reaching out that you do through mayor's breakfasts and any other question period, things like that. I think you've always been available and accommodating and open in the business that you do. All of our employees, and this is what we emphasized in our 2 sessions, one with Public Works and one with Administration, is bringing a high level of customer service at all time, being diversified in what we do and accommodating and versatile. Just one small example is how we do things out front here. We have a variety of people pitching in at any time to help with reception and general duties like that. So being flexible to do that, being trained to answer questions on dog tags or taxes or water rates is very, very important. And a lot of that was here in the past, and it's continued on, and I think it's important to demonstrate that in the strategic plan. We want to maintain quality and affordability. Always we're working on partnerships, public-private partnerships or public-public partnerships with nonprofit groups. We want to engage the community. We want to protect the environment. We want to work on our business and community development and maintain our authentic heritage. I think these are all things, if you read through the 90-some actions in the plan, 97 actions, you'll find these very common throughout there. So the bottom, you can see we have 97 total actions. 40 of them are short-term, 21 are medium-term, 3 are long-term, and 33 are ongoing. And then you can see within the 9 or 10 areas how many actions are in each area. So I won't read those all, but I think it covers the breadth of what this organization does, what you're involved with as counselors, what the staff do day to day, and what the community is doing through our volunteers and through our partnerships. Timeline for the plan is 5 to 10 years. We will be reporting to you each year on progress on the plan. It will always be referenced at budget and in staff reports, and you see that in almost every report that comes to you. We'll amend the plan if actions change. If you want us to move into a new business area that's not there, I think it would be important for council to actually go through the process of amending that plan. And every 2 years at least, we should go to the public to see how we're doing, and every 5 years you should do a full review like you just did. There are some performance measures that we should probably in our annual reports report back to you. In the previous plan there was a highly regimented process where people were meeting and measuring, and quite frankly it was a process I didn't feel was sustainable, and so this implementation process is more communication rather than measuring, although there are options to measure using the performance measure program that's in place, and we can bring more of that information to you in our annual report on the strategic plan, because you likely haven't seen a lot of the performance measure stuff before. It would also be included in our business plan, so you'll remember in there we have service measures, number of bookings, number of zone changes, number of business minutes. Those sorts of things are measures that you see each year at budget. So in terms of our brand positioning, last but not least, we are maintaining the where your family belongs approach. I think the previous strategic plan was very much about getting to a point where we had a brand and identified it, and I think that was excellent work getting to that point, and we're maintaining that here. So we're not heading off into some other marketing direction as a result of our strategic plan. That's where that seems to be working for us. It's something that has community buy-in, and so as a municipality, that's what we're working toward. That's the end of my presentation. If council has any questions, I could try and answer them. Otherwise, we just need a motion to approve the plan.
So move.
Moved by Councillor Faulkner, seconded by Councillor Elliott. Question?
No.
No. All in favor?
Nice job, Bill.
Good work.
That is
Very good work.
And
Very nice.
that, what I like about it too, Bill, and we see it moving forward, every time we have a report, we do have where it affects the plan. I think as long as you keep that in front of us, and when you get a budget time, that's really important, the focus. Good job.
Mayor Bridge, we have 2 public processes scheduled. The business items that are left, the sewage allocation bylaw, the business and economic development matter are fairly brief. Perhaps we could deal with those.
I think so, because
Continue on with our meeting.
Yeah.
We don't have to begin the others immediately.
well, let's get it done. I think we can go ahead and get it done.
Okay. So Mayor Bridge, then I would be reporting on the sewage allocation for 370 Bell Street in Palmerston. You'll recall that we have a sewage allocation bylaw for Palmerston. There is limited capacity there due to infiltration. We've worked hard over the last 2 years to continue on with the work that was done to try and reduce that infiltration. We are seeing improved results. We will continue to report on those results. The issue that we face a little bit is that it's a rolling average, so even though we have really low inflow, it's still tied in with some of the higher amounts. So we have to report back to you when our average is where we know we can get this bylaw off the records. But for now, we're still allocating units. We have a total of 100 units remaining, And this would allocate 2 of them to 370 Bell Street. Sorry, one sewage allocation unit. The recommendation is that you approve that.
I would make that. Council Elliott? Council Turton, all in favor? Carried. And I think, almost said Belinda. Man, sorry, she was here, she messed me up. She was here, brought her back to me in my mind. No, Mandy's here for the signage.
Yes, good evening. So the report that I have in front of you is in regards to a signage improvement grant for hair therapy located in Harriston. Just a bit of background, in 2009, the town of Minto initiated the signage improvement grant for the downtown areas. Each year, $3,000 in grants are available for commercial properties located in the CIP, the community improvement areas, to improve their signage. A set of signage improvement guidelines were created to ensure the improvements made are appropriate and tie into the overall look of the downtowns. The signage application is for hair therapy, a new business in downtown Harriston. The graphic below shows the overall look of the sign. The sign is comprised of aluminum panel with vinyl graphics. The majority of the sign is purple and will not contain lighting. The applicant intends to mount the sign on the front building wall above the door and window. Overall, the sign is compliant with the town's design guidelines, and the Harriston Downtown Revitalization Committee, along with the Economic Development and Planning Committee, reviewed the application via email and are in support of the proposal. So the signage grant program has been topped up for 2013 to $3,000, and this is the second signage application for $395.50. If this signage improvement grant is approved, the remaining budget would be $2,084.50. And the recommendation would be that the Council of the Town of Minto receives the August 6, 2013 report from the Business and Economic Development Coordinator and considers approving the signage improvement grant application number H11 for the amount of $395.50 for the property located at 41 Arthur Street, Harriston, Ontario, which is hair therapy.
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Elliott, Councilor Faulkner, and Councilor Turton. All in favor?
Thank you.
Good. Another one, another business, I like to see it. All good.
We've been.
Mayor Bridge, while the county senior planner is coming forward to talk about the Clifford rezoning, if she could come forward.
Yep.
Perhaps I could just give a brief background.
Yep.
You'll recall back in February, we had a public meeting on the rezoning of the Clifford ball field. We had a number of residents present, and they indicated an interest in being notified when council reconsidered this matter. We did eventually receive from Mr. Underwood and his engineering company a schematic site plan, which is attached to the notice that went out and also included in the county planner's report. We hand-delivered notices well over 2 weeks ago to the people who were part of the public meeting before, and I did receive one letter back just this afternoon, if I could read it quickly. In reference to the development of the Clifford Ball Diamond, in regards to the diagram site plan submitted by Lauren Underwood, Burnside Project, there appears to be a proposed stormwater management area beside our property. We live on the adjacent lot. I would like some further details about this section. What makes it up, and for what purpose is it for? Is it open water, fenced in, drain in place, enclosed cement construction? Where is the outlet? The grade of the land, also dimensions. There are a few of the questions. I would also like to see a detailed engineer site report. We are about 3 feet below the now grade of the ballpark. Is all the water from the site going to be drained to the stormwater holding area? I would appreciate this letter to be on file for further reference. Plus, I would like to be kept informed movement on this property. Wes and Eleanor Gerber, box 25114 Brown Street, Clifford.
We're on Brown Street.
Right
Okay.
beside the ballpark.
This one?
At the back.
Right here.
Top, it's the top.
Top back. Oh, I see, it's right here, and that would be a little bit, but there would be there, okay. All right,
That's all I have.
that storm management hasn't totally done yet.
Yeah, that none of this has been engineered specifically. It's a schematic layout, unlike the Harrison Senior School, where you had an engineer doing detailed work and where we were trying to set lots before we actually transferred this land. Here, what will happen is we'll set a zoning for the site, and then Mr. Underwood, I assume, would come forward with an offer, and he'd buy it all as one piece. And then all these details would be worked out as he moves forward.
Did you want to do an overview?
I can do a really quick one.
Okay.
This item was before Minto Council in February.
Yeah, there you go.
Better?
Yeah.
Is that good? Okay. So this item was before Minto Council at the council meeting on February 19th. There was a public meeting for the official plan amendment. County Council adopted the official plan amendment in April, and so we were waiting to receive some sort of conceptual plan from Mr. Underwood, which we've received, in order to draft more specific zoning on the property. So what we've done essentially is identified the areas that, well, we're putting it into an R2 zoning, the whole thing,
Right.
which allows a variety of residential types, such as singles, semis, and townhouse developments. What we've added to this zoning category, though, is a site-specific to address the, what we call the cluster townhouse development. We want to ensure that it's located adjacent to the arena, that there's some transition between that multiple residential use and the existing residential homes adjacent. So the way we've drafted the amending bylaw, that will ensure that that use is located where it's shown now. So there's still some tweaking to do in terms of the siting requirements, the setbacks, the frontages. That could all change somewhat, but generally what you see in front of you is what we're zoning it for.
Questions?
Looks good.
I like the way it is over by the arena with the residential. Sorry.
Yeah, so through you, Mayor Bridge, is there an easement in here somewhere, or?
Not that I'm
It's
aware of.
classified as John Street, and yet William and Brown are the streets that surround the property.
If I may, Mayor Bridge, through you, John Street is actually, the road allowance actually goes straight through from William to Brown. So this rezoning would include an unopened portion of John Street.
Right there, Terry, that's John.
So that's a 66 by 330-foot strip of unopened road allowance that would be part of this rezoning.
Councilor Ali.
Would we have to close that road? And do that?
If I may, through you, if we did get an offer on that, we would have to close that road allowance and include it, if we were to include it in the lands that are transferred.
It's not being used now.
If I may, it's in the drawing to be used,
Yeah.
and it is in the zoning to be used, but you would have a decision point later on, and I think you would only agree to include that in there if you knew how the lands were going to be used and you had the proper engineering, which you have schematic now, but not detail.
Gotcha. Councilor.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Bridge. John, I'm just trying to picture where John is. John comes down by Demerling's garage?
Yes, and then Ann's right there at the ball diamond.
Yep,
Doesn't go right through.
thank you. Yep,
Actually, I think part of the
Yep.
public meeting, what they were concerned with, if John actually got opened up, they weren't happy if it got opened up, and according to this, it's not gonna be opened up, right?
No.
So, because that would separate, they wouldn't have a street there where they'd have to back onto, the people are already on. That was their concern. Works out. Anything else? No? Thanks. We need a motion?
With the motion, Mayor Bridge, to receive that report, and the bylaw, rezoning bylaw is on later on for adoption.
Okay. Motion received, Councilor Turton, Councilor Caldwell, all in favor? Carried. Okay. Now we're
Mayor
gonna
Bridge,
go to
I think the Public Works Director is going to come forward on the horse and buggy
Right.
update. I just wanted to provide a brief summary of the comments received, and then he's going to speak to that. In the report, I mentioned a comment from Paul Murphy, who supports the alternate route but objects to the stop signs and has concerns about horse manure on the streets and walking trail. And also Ken Moffett of Farm Fresh, who expressed similar support for the alternate route with the same concerns, although the bigger concern for them is cross-contamination with their trucks. And so that's something that I think you need to keep in mind. I know the route is being used now to some degree. I also received an email from Louise Wilson. I received it through the deputy mayor back in mid-July, and she was very supportive of the alternate route. She had quite a number of other concerns about equine safety, the treatment of horses, and so forth. She has been writing to various ministers about that, and Mr. Pettipies, and I did email her back and encourage her to continue to do that. But our issue tonight is really the buggy bypass, and she was in favor of that. There was also an email from Barbara and Robert Barkley regarding the proposed buggy trail. How will the town prevent unauthorized use? Does the amount of buggy traffic warrant a stop sign? And there are 1 or 2 buggies a day. Some days there are none. A yield sign at Johnson Street would seem to suffice and being more environmentally friendly. There is some concern, I guess, from at least Mr. Murphy and the Barclays about stops at that intersection being John and Adelaide. So with that, that's the comments we've received.
You want to chair this?
Sure.
Yes, actually, yeah, I was gonna wait, I messed that up. David
Thank you,
gets
Mayor
to chair
Bridge.
this, sorry.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. We do have 2 items on the Public Works agenda, and our CAO, Bill, has done a great job of explaining the first one, so.
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
don't have very much to add to that, except for, you asked me to come back, bring a report back on the route. And the report on the alternate route was posted on the town website, and the following comments were received, and he went through those with you. We reviewed the MTO manual regarding T intersections creating the new route, and we confirmed that the stop signs are required on all 3 corners. So, and then CO White did touch base with the buggy route being in use. The town does not pick up manure anywhere in the municipality. It is recommended that if the alternate horse and buggy route is officially approved, that users be asked to carry a rake and make a conscious effort to stop and clear the road or trail of any manure. If there becomes a buildup, then we'll have staff look at helping out in a bit, trying to clear that up. The added cost to the town probably be just the stop signs and minor brushing of the trail improvement. Some added maintenance costs may come about, but highly unlikely. So the recommendation,
Any questions for, go ahead.
I have a question.
Yes.
So, the MTO manual, is that for all T intersections, or that's all newly created T intersections?
no, it covers all T intersections. It's Traffic Manual Book 7 that they go by, and that's where it states in traffic.
I mean, we have a T intersection on the old school road, and there's only a stop 2 ways out of the 3. So
I'm not
are we liable then if something happens at that corner?
There might be, we'd have to look at probably the traffic count on that, or how much traffic you get on that road, that has an input. Where is that again, School Road?
Just, while you turn at Greenbush,
Oh, yeah.
Yep,
you go up, well, I call it where Aglas live.
First corner.
Yeah, the first corner, there's
Okay.
a T intersection there.
okay.
And there's
I'll
only
have a
stop
look.
signs, there's only stop signs on 2 of the
2
3.
ways,
And I
yeah.
can't think of, you have to stop approaching it from the south, I guess, and from the west. But I think if you're coming north, you don't have to stop.
Okay, I'll have a look at it. By the sounds of it, probably should, but I'll have a look at it.
Okay.
Thanks for bringing that up.
Other questions? So the recommendation is that the council of the town of Minto receives the Public Works Director report dated July 30th, 2013, update horse and buggy route Highway 9, Hairston, and consider a bylaw in regular session regarding a three-way stop at the intersection of John Street and Adelaide, and that if approved, users of the alternate route be asked to stop and clear manure from John Street or the trail. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Deputy Mayor Fisk, seconder Mayor Bridge. I got one question. So what happens if there is an issue with horse manure?
Well, good question.
Yeah.
Because I guess my biggest concern in that report was the fact that the one comment we got was from Farm Fresh, and they would have a health issue.
Yeah, pass it.
So I would suggest that we go to the community, I guess, and make sure that they know that. What's your thoughts?
Deputy Mayor Fisk, go ahead.
Well, in my other life, I'm somewhat familiar with animals and diseases transmitted between species, and I don't know of any disease that would be transmitted from a horse to a chicken.
For a chicken, okay. Well, that's good to know.
So
That, they're just kind of doing it as a general
I think
health
so.
issue.
You know, we have to keep in mind that horses aren't continuously defecating. They might defecate 3 times a day,
Yeah.
and they're not, I mean, yes, there'll be the odd time they'll defecate on this trail, but I personally can't imagine there's going to be that much traffic that of horses that are defecating there. I can't see it being an issue.
And I guess my thought too was if it becomes a problem, like, if cars start going down and all that, we'll have to revisit it anyway.
That's
So
correct.
that's just another thing we have to
I think the
revisit.
original motion, we were going to revisit
Yeah.
at the end of the year.
That's right.
I mean,
Yeah.
we'll be
That's-
dealing with
Yeah.
these issues if they're issues.
Yeah.
And was there not, oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Councillor Caldwell.
Was there not way the cars couldn't go down? I thought it was blocked up that the cars,
It's pretty narrow. I mean,
Yeah.
you'd have to want to really put your car
Yeah, I wouldn't put my car down.
through there, but
Councillor Falcon?
Thank you, through you, Councillor Turton. First of all, I would be against putting that part in the bylaw, simply because we don't have a penalty section for that. It's unenforceable because you'd be found committing under the Provincial Offences Act, and it would just be impossible for us to adjudicate. So I'd be against putting that part in the bylaw.
CEO White, please.
The bylaw that, before you would install the stop signs, I think what I heard the Public Works Director say is that if there was a build-up, he'd have to go out and clean it up. If not, I can
himself.
I can take my rakes out there and do it myself.
I do recall him saying he was going to do it.
With a shovel, yes.
So thank you.
Picking it up every day, I don't mind doing
Delegation,
it.
Yeah,
Does
thanks.
everybody understand the motion?
Yep.
Then I'll call the question. All in favor of the motion? Against? That's carried. Thank you. Second item that we want to deal with here is the tenders from Highway 9. And I believe that there's some paperwork here on our tables.
I've declared a conflict of interest on this issue, so I'm going to leave the table at this time.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, if I may start, I do have a slide which you may find familiar.
Very.
Go right ahead, our CAO.
Don't want to speak out of turn again.
Oh, we've seen this before, yeah?
Yeah, many times.
So just a reminder of we did go out to quote, and it's all going to come in there slowly. Maybe I'll hit the clicker. There, whoop.
Oh, no.
There we are. So there's 4 phases, and the costs that are in there are actually the before-tax cost estimate for each phase. Phase 1, William to Louise, is $325,000, not including HST. That includes the bid amount from the lowest bid and also certain contingency items that we spread along to each one based on the total percentage budget. Phase 2 is from Louise to Adelaide. That's in lime green. That's $132,700. Phase 3 in blue is Adelaide to the end of the connecting link. It's $346,000. And phase 4 is the red part, which is Adelaide Street, and that's a reconstruction, and it's 42,000. So if you added those all together, you'd get slightly less than the tendered amount for the whole thing there. That's because that amount includes HST and all the other minor traffic movement things that are in the tender. So Public Works Director and the Treasurer, if need be, can go through some of those details. But I just wanted to refamiliarize you with the 4 phases.
Thank you, CAO White. Do you two gentlemen have some more to add, please? Go ahead.
No, I think Bill sort of touched on all the parts. The only thing you might have some questions on, or if you do have questions, just fire away and we can answer them as we go.
Questions? Councillor Elliott.
I've just noticed on here, there's a total that you're recommending, lowest tender, and there's a total on that. I see you break it down into, you know, part 1, 2, 4, and part 1, 2. Now, is that a breakdown of the 952,000, or is that a separate tender?
No, that's broken down on that tender.
Okay,
What we've done, we told you we're gonna break it down into 4 sections
Right.
for you, so
Yeah.
you can see which ones you wanna do, whether you wanna do 1 and 2,
yeah,
or 3 and 4, or do them all together. So we sort of broke them up. It's a little bit difficult to follow,
sure.
but we're trying to
I-
chop it as best we could
So
to,
you took the total bid and then it's broke it down to
Yeah.
the phases as we need them through that bid?
that's correct.
Okay.
Yep, to sort of help you out. Now, on the understanding that on phase 3 and 4, because they sort of go together,
Yeah,
that there's MTO issues there that we haven't addressed yet, but we're working on addressing those.
right.
So, and they're minor ones, they're not,
That's
nothing
not
that's,
a real cost thing, the MTU issues?
no.
Councillor Faulkner?
Councillor, through you, Councillor Turton. The only issue or concern is that if we do just 1 and 2, when we go to do 3 and 4, are we going to have to redo 1 and 2 at all?
No. No, if, it was mentioned if we want to do 1, 2, and possibly 4,
Yeah,
it's almost, well, it's not impossible to do. It's just there's some issues with great elevations and some sidewalks, but we can get around the sidewalk issue by putting asphalt down and having it tore up later. That's the only part that would, and that's minor cost.
but
As
we're not,
compared, if you want to put a sidewalk in there, it's going to be concrete and it's going to be a major cost.
okay, so, but we're not going to have to dig it back up for infrastructure, things like sewer and water,
Which part?
1 and 2.
No,
Okay,
No.
that's all I'm concerned.
no.
Maverick?
If we're doing 1, 2, and the 4 possibly, one of the biggest concerns we were having, and we still have, is safety concerns around Tim Hortons with the big trucks parking. Is there an idea that if somehow we can still put curbs and, as you say, either a paved sidewalk or something, it would stop those trucks from you know, even though they can't park there, they still park there. They obviously couldn't park there if there's a curb because they couldn't get off far enough.
Well, they could if they
Well,
really
and-
wanted to, but no, if we really couldn't put concrete curbs in there,
Okay.
we might be able to come up with some different solution, but it'd have to be looked at.
'Cause-
It's elevations that affect it, drainage.
Right,
Where are you
that's-
gonna drain, because
okay.
the road sort of goes from Adelaide Street.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Heading towards north, heading towards Clifford.
Right.
So all your road, and you're gonna get ponding on there if we just
Yep.
leave it like no drainage at all, so that's, you
It's
know,
not
you don't
right.
want hydroplaning
No.
or an accident to happen there, so there's different things you gotta look at. That's why I'm trying to keep 3 and 4 together, so it works properly, so.
Councillor Collins?
Can I just ask, you know what's coming? Yes. Treasurer Duff to review our budget for this year and what this means
Exactly.
financially if we go do the different
Yeah, that's right. So even with this, and you gotta remember, what's before you is just the contract itself. So we have engineering. We've already spent about 50,000 in engineering. There's no staff time or scene time or anything here. So, at our next meeting, I'm gonna be coming to you anyway, because I think I mentioned before, we wanna revise our capital budget to decide what borrowing, and that's where I guess we need some direction here too. But I think that we can kind of, as we all know, we save money on the Eaton Road, and that's partly federal gas tax. So I've already confirmed in writing that if we do some, a little bit more paperwork, we can reallocate some of the funding from federal gas tax to this project. We have that Howick boundary line too to take care of. So I'm going to bring forward a proposal of how we can do all of that. But as you can see, and Bill's kind of illustrated up there, that'll take care of phases 1 and 2. We don't have enough in the budget to do 3 and 4, and I think you'd need to do additional debenturing. I don't see any other way, if you decided to do all that in 2013.
So if we do 3 and 4, we will have to borrow funds, is what you're saying?
I don't see any other alternative now.
Okay. But we can do 1 and 2 on our current budget.
Right.
Yeah, just by maneuvering a few things, but we can still do that without any change to borrowing or levies or anything.
Go ahead, CAO White.
Mayor Bridge, I think if we had, make a recommendation to you, it is, oh, sorry, Councillor Turton, Chair Turton, is that we do phase 1 and 2, and we do have the wherewithal to accommodate that. It's at 540, it's under budget if you back out the HST, but it's over budget when you put the engineering in. But then there's a user contribution for the sewer work between William and Louise, that Mr. Mole and another landowner on the other side may help us out with that. So I think with the type of thing that the treasurer is talking about, we can do 1 and 2. And that will get us curbs that should prevent a lot of the truck traffic parking from Adelaide into town. And that, there is a lot of that going on in front of the MTO and in that area. So that'll give us some curbs there and control there. There is one other little minor item. There's a landowner at the corner of Adelaide and Elora that we need to talk to, and I think we would want to work with the contractor to find some kind of solution, because there is water sheet draining across their property. And if we don't do something there, then I don't think they're going to be very happy with us. So there is a contingency in here. It's not a large amount, but we'll work within the budget confines to try and address that one minor thing. And the rest of it, Adelaide, you probably have to do with the reconstruction when Chickadance comes forward. And where you get the money to do that will depend on what their contribution is to the project, which we should believe should be substantial, some $500,000 minimum. So these are really good prices. It would be great if he wanted to go ahead. We can certainly communicate what these prices are, but I don't think we'll be doing 3 and 4 this year.
When was the last time we've had a discussion with Mr. Chickadance?
If I may, Mr. Chair, him not for a while, but his staff on and off through the summer. They are aware of the status of this project. They're aware we're going to tender, and they've also been in communication with the county staff about their draft plan. And something will come forward here this fall, but I do not believe they will be ready to do their intersection this year.
Go ahead, sir.
I just want council to be aware too that if we leave sections 3 and 4 out this year, and we do it next year, depending on budget, then in 2015, you're doing your downtown and getting prepared for your plowing match too. So everything's sort of melding together here, so it's all gonna be year after year, which I think we've had discussions on before too. So that's something to keep in the back of your mind.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest single issue. Okay, we're gonna tear up the street, and then we're gonna do the same thing again next year. And, you know, I really believe that we're asking a lot of our people coming through town, our traffic.
Yeah, your traffic, actually your traffic amounts in the contract are high. And that's the reason they have to maintain two-way traffic at all times. They have to maintain people getting in and out of their laneways, and it's a crowded area, but it's heavy on the traffic signage part of it too, so.
Yeah, I think likely that's a big issue. So, I mean, we're tearing this thing up, doing a section, if this is what we choose to do.
That's right.
I mean, if we go ahead and do the second part next year, would it not be more logical to look at borrowing and getting it done? And if we've got money next year to do it, I don't know, a short-term loan or something, if that's an option, Gord? I don't know.
The only thing is, I don't see us having that extra money, like we may get some other funding. That'd be great if we do, but I don't think we can count on that. Just knowing that there's other projects available there too. And there are some issues with 3 and 4, where you think they're resolvable
Well, eventually
within
it'll
it.
be resolved.
We need
Yeah.
There's MTO has a few issues, grading issues and stuff like that, but BM Ross is working on that to get resolved. Those
Is there a
issues.
timeline on that? Like, is that a real serious showstopper?
For 3 and 4, yeah. Yep.
I'm talking time. Like, is
Time-wise.
that something that, you know?
Well, Frank thinks, from BM Ross, thinks that he can make it, but he's working diligently at it. And he's on holidays this week, but as soon as he gets back, they're working away at it, because he's already notified MTO we're on a time restraint on this
Yeah.
project.
See, I think I can see this thing deferred till the finishing touches here till 16 or maybe 17.
That's a possibility.
Mayor Bridge?
Yeah, a couple of points. One was the MTO. We may not get MTO even do 3 and 4 this year. I mean, that's not a given.
No.
And I'm with Councilor Turton when we talk about the fact that this council was very concerned about having a disruption 3 years in a row on this road. But it goes back a little bit to Chickadance and the fact that,
Correct.
again, we do 3 and 4 now, we're gonna have to rip up a whole bunch of for Chickadance, and then we look like stoops again.
Correct.
And I'm with the public when they see you put a road down, and then 6 months later, rip it all up again and put something in. Everybody says, well, why didn't that get done at the same time? So,
Yeah. No, I just wanted
Yeah.
council to know that there's,
and I guess my other point for you, Gord, and Mary Lou, I mean, we're still haven't got the money for the downtown one yet. So if we have a project that we want to get going, it'll be when the county wants to do the downtown, and we want to be able to get our stuff done. Now, it is a lot of sewer and water, so it comes from there, but
No, you're right. It's not, as you know, we go through this every budget time. It's not like we have 1 or 2 priorities.
No.
We have 20 or 30.
remember the $44 million capital deficit we've got. Like, there's lots
At
out there we
least.
can pick from, right?
Yeah.
Too bad.
Any other questions?
Just to
Yeah,
add
go
into
ahead,
that,
sir.
if I may, Mr.
Yes,
Chair.
go ahead.
Very briefly, that we are very much tied in with Phase 3 to Chickadance, and what was tendered was not installing all those rather deep services that they're going to need, so. And we don't want to get tied in too far with that. It was an interim thing, if Chickadance didn't go for 5 or 10 years, that you could live with if you wanted to do it, but, or you would try and coerce them to come online, but I'm just afraid we haven't been able to bring them to the table with any kind of actual contribution. That's why we're only recommending 1 and 2 with a little bit of a fix-it on the corner.
Questions? Okay, I'll read the recommendation. That the council receives the report from Public Works Director dated August 2nd, 2013, regarding Highway 9 reconstruction, tender results, and give direction as to how council would like to proceed with the phasing in of this project, and any work not completed by subject to 2014 budget deliberations.
So, Mr. Chair, sorry to interrupt, our recommendation is Phase 1 and 2.
yes.
Okay? So our recommendation is Phase 1 and 2. Thank you. Councillor Caldwell has moved it. Mayor Bridges second. Everybody understand the question? All in favor of the against? That's carried. Thank you. I'll hand the chair to, back to our mayor.
Do you want me to do? Turn it over to Councillor Caldwell for the accounts.
And I will just ask Treasurer Duff to review the account summary with us for this.
Sure, thank you, Chair Caldwell. Under administration, we have a total expenditure of $368,000, and while we're talking quarter million of that is our county debenture payment. So,
No, I don't.
as you know, we have a lot of issues that come due in the last part of the year. We also have our audit for around $20,000 and some legal for $6,000. As far as fire, we've got another $12,000 just in engineering, which is relatively small on the Hairston part. And anybody drives by there, you can see we're gonna have some big bills there soon. Public Works, we've done about $25,000 in dust control, and we've also spent another $54,000 on finishing the paving on Allen Street in Clifford. In sewer, we replaced a blower unit at the Hairston wastewater treatment plant. That was about $14,000, and another $30,000 on the inflow and infiltration project in Palmerston.
Which, Gord? What was the last thing?
The inflow and infiltration,
Okay,
fixing
right on.
manholes and
Yep.
I guess. And those are the major items, I guess, we had on the short run.
Okay, would anyone have any questions for Treasurer Duff? May I have a motion then to accept the report? Councillor Elliott, seconded by Councillor Faulkner. All in favor? Motion is passed.
Moved by Councillor Faulkner, seconded by Councillor Elliott. The Committee of the Whole convenes in the Committee of Adjustment. All in favor? Okay. This is the public meeting, right? Yep. And what we're doing tonight is a public hearing. I'm the chair of the hearing. Any decision reached by this committee today cannot be used to set a precedent. Each application considered by the committee is to dealt with on its own merits, and no two applications are exactly alike. Public hearing is to consider a minor variance application file number A113, Maynard Martin, and I'll ask Secretary Treasurer White to state the subject of property in this letter.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. Subject property is located at Part of Lot 6 and 7, Concession 9, 9258 Road 1, North Harrison. The purpose and effect of the minor variance is to permit the existing 2 agricultural sheds to remain within the NE zone, whereas subsection 30.1 of the Corporation of the Town of Minto, as amended zoning bylaw, does not permit any agricultural structures within the NE zone. Notices were mailed to property owners within 200 feet or 60 meters of the property and applicable agencies on July 5th. We also reposted it 2 weeks later to correct an error in the meeting time. The town staff has commented, and the road foreman and drainage inspector had no comments. The chief building official comments are attached. But if I may, I could read those. Corporation of the Town of Minto zoning bylaw permits agricultural uses within an natural environment zone. However, it does not permit any structures to be built within it. In 2006, the Building Code Act's 1-year statute of limitations was removed, and as such, building officials have the obligation to commence an investigation on structures when it is revealed that they have been constructed illegally. On April 25th, while driving between inspections, 2 sheds were discovered on the property at 9258 Road 1 North, which were constructed within the NE zone without obtaining a building permit, zoning approval, or conservation authority approval. The first shed, constructed in 2010, is 40 by 56, is located on the rear of the property within the treated area and is being used as a sugar shack. The second shed was constructed in 2006, is 40 by 60, is located at the edge of the field in a grassed meadow, and is being used as farm equipment storage. There's an aerial photo attached showing their locations. The owner has been served a building code order to comply, a planning act order to comply, and has been charged with constructing without a permit. In addition to obtaining zoning compliance, the owner is required to obtain a development permit through the Maitland Valley Conservation Authority and a building permit. It should be noted that if the minor variance is not approved and the applicant is not successful with an Ontario Municipal Board appeal, both structures will be required to be demolished at the cost of the owner. Recommendation is that Committee of Adjustment receives the Chief Building Official's report for information. Maitland Valley Conservation Authority, Randy Walters reports as follows. The NE1 zoning on the property identifies a provincially significant wetland and significant woodlot wildlife habitat. PSWs are designated as core greenlands in the Wellington County official plan. The structures are located within the mapped provincially significant wetland. However, the actual boundary of the wetland differs slightly from the mapped wetland. It's quite a lengthy amount of information in here, but the recommendation is, based on our review of the Town of Minto's natural environment policies, new buildings and structures are not permitted in the NE1 zone unless the use is associated with conservation uses, including but not limited to forest management and passive recreation. The definition of conservation in the town zoning bylaw means uses and uses of land complementary to and compatible with the wise management, stewardship, protection, and preservation of natural environment. Conservation may include uses such as reforestation and forest management. With regards to shed number 1, MVCA recognizes structures associated with use for maple syrup production as a compatible use in and adjacent to the woodlands, provided that measures are taken to mitigate or reduce any ecological impacts on the woodland, and falls under a conservation forest management use, in our opinion. It is also our opinion that the resource land woodlots maple syrup production depends on generally maintained, conserved, and valued by landowners. MVCA does not feel that shed number 2 is having an ecological or hydrological impact on the natural environment and has no concern for shed number 2. Shed number 1 was constructed in an interior location within the woodland and on the border of a wetland boundary. MVCA reviews proposals prior to construction to consult on the most suitable location, where we would recommend mitigation measures to conserve the ecology and conservation of land. However, MVCA will not request that shed number 1 be relocated, as it is staff's opinion that moving the structure may create an increased impact on the ecology because more vegetation and disturbance of land will result. This shed was constructed in 2010, and previously disturbed vegetation had an opportunity to reestablish. It is the authority staff's opinion that the ecological impact to the wetland is minor, can be mitigated, provided the following conditions are met. Additional clearing of vegetation trees within the NE zone and adjacent to the shed is not permitted, except according to the county's conservation bylaw and in consultation with the Conservation Authority. Future development and site grading within the NE zone is not permitted unless approved by the Conservation Authority and the town. The zone of impact work area beyond the footprint of the existing shed shall be kept to a minimum. Excess equipment and materials shall be stored inside the shed or moved off-site, out of the NE zone. Additional trails, roads beyond what is currently exists within the wetland are not permitted without MVCA approval. Future proposed development within and adjacent to the NE1 zone and additional clearing of trees and vegetation will be subject to an environmental impact study to assess the impact of existing structures and the cumulative impact of structures within the significant woodland, wetland, and wildlife habitat. MVCA will have no concern for the minor variance application provided the above noted conditions are met.
Thanks, I got it here, Bill. Okay. The applicants, would you like to speak to
County planners.
county planners first? Oh, yeah,
County
sorry.
Wellington Senior Planner is here
Yes.
with a report. Sorry,
Sorry.
I didn't read those
You didn't read those,
comments.
and it was here. You got carried away. Yes, yes, please. Yeah, that's a good point.
Thank you, Terry, to sign.
Can you sign? Thanks, man. I knew you were here for, yeah, I thought, well, you just like to stay, but no, there was a reason, eh? Go ahead.
I don't have much more to add. I think that's been said.
Yep.
The property where these buildings are located, it is a natural environment zoned area. The township zoning bylaw does provide opportunity for Conservation Authority to reinterpret that designation or the boundary of it. In this case, they haven't reinterpreted it, so the variance required is to allow the buildings as opposed to the zoning that would not.
Right.
So in this case, we defer to the Conservation Authority because that natural environment zoning is there for their protection of lands that they
Right.
Protect. So they have no concerns. They rationalize their reasons, and we're
You're
fine
happy with that? Any questions for Colin? Deputy Mayor?
I don't have a question for Linda, but I guess it would be for Terry, but he's not here. I noticed here there was a charge of constructing without obtaining a permit. Has that been resolved yet, or do you know what the situation is with respect to that?
The applicants are here, they could correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they're still pending in the application, so there'll be a decision made on those by the chief building official.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, no other questions for Linda? Thank you.
Thanks, Linda.
And the applicants, Nina, do you want to speak to the, let's get you up to come up to.
I don't know if we have much to add, but it's, I guess boiling maple syrup has been a tradition that goes back a long ways, and there's really no spot to do it other than the bottom of the hill, and that's where it kind of runs, so.
Yep.
I guess as far as the charges go, I know if in another township where it's much the same thing has happened, I mean, there's probably hundreds of these out with no building permit. And that's where you build them, is in the bush. You're gonna burn something if you do it at home. And the township basically, the bad bin inspector has come out and issued a permit, a $25 charge, so. I guess in our part, it would be nice to see the charges dropped and the building permit issued and minor variance issued, obviously.
Questions?
Yeah, I can understand maybe perhaps the misunderstanding in respect to the Sugar Shack. And I do understand the culture of maple syrup. But please explain to me how the second shed could be built with misunderstanding.
Well, it was originally used for storing firewood for the shack, but we built a bigger one.
From that distance?
Yeah, we had it stacked back to keep it dry.
Yeah, no, I understand that. That's quite a distance from the shed number one, is it not?
Yeah, we didn't have a sugar shack back there, and back there then yet.
Okay.
So you built the first one, the second one first,
okay.
and then Sugar Shack went.
I mean, we also paid the fine for building without a permit. That's been paid.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it has been
That
paid.
that was what Deputy Mayor was asking.
It's been paid. It's the Maitland Valley one that we're holding off on, see if
Okay. All right,
we wait till the meetings to see.
right.
what happens.
Okay.
We just, I know of two issues, much the same, and I guess the charges were dropped there, and it was just a building permit required, and I guess,
What charge was dropped? I don't
there
understand
was
that.
never any charges, but
No,
I just know another
could-
municipality, the same thing happened.
Oh, in another
There
municipality.
was no charge to
Okay.
begin with, they just asked for a permit, so.
Right. Okay,
Mayor Bridge,
yes.
am I correct to understand, not the Sugar Shack building, but the other one, there was a building there and you just expanded it?
No.
No?
No,
No, okay.
there's a teepee there, that's it.
TP, okay.
They built that first, I think,
Yeah.
and then realized it was, because it is quite a distance away from Sugar Shack. If I had my wood
Yeah.
source, I'd want to be you have a little bit more hauling, right?
Yeah, the wood is back in the bush, and we made more than what we needed to keep it dry for,
Yeah,
to go for the next spring then, so.
yeah,
So what we like to do now is just basically get permits, because
right. Okay, all righty, good. Any other questions?
Mayor Bridge, I have a decision here. The way it works is there's a resolution.
Right.
And then usually, those in favor of the decision would also sign, but I can read this
Do
if
you want me to
want.
finish this off, or does it go in there first?
Let me just make sure. Chief Building Officials, Kuipers,
You did his. Any person wishing to address the committee
Yep.
adjustment, please direct.
that should happen too.
So then I should just do this, and then
Yep.
we'll do that.
Mayor Bridge, could
Yep.
I ask one question before we get to that?
Well,
point?
that's why we're here.
What, is there any way of dealing with the two buildings separately? Probably not, eh?
Well, probably not.
You know what I'm saying?
Everything's been done to look at both buildings,
Yeah,
so.
yeah. So, okay, I withdraw that question.
Okay. All right. Shall we go ahead?
Yeah, I guess we have to ask if there's anyone else here who wants.
Anybody else wishing to address the committee of adjustments? No, okay. And then,
So now.
now the
Mayor Bridge,
resolution. Now you got it.
seem to be speaking out of turn a lot tonight.
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Council of the Town of Minto Committee of Adjustment approves the application by Maynard Martin for property at Part Lot 6 and 7, Concession 9, 9258 Road 1 North Harrison, to permit the existing two agricultural sheds to remain within the NE zone, whereas subsection 30 of the zoning bylaw does not permit any agricultural structures within that zone, with the following conditions: that any additional clearing of vegetation trees within the NE zone and adjacent to the shed is not permitted except in compliance with County of Wellington Conservation Bylaw and the Maitland Valley Conservation Authority. Future development and site grading with the NE zone is not permitted unless approved by Conservation Authority in the town. The work area beyond the footprint of the existing shed shall be kept to a minimum. Excess equipment and material shall be stored inside or moved off-site out of the NE zone. That additional trails beyond that would currently exist within the wetlands are not permitted without Conservation Authority approval. Future development within and adjacent to the NE1 zone, and additional clearing of trees, except according to the Forest Conservation Bylaw, would be subject to an environmental impact study to assess the impact of existing structures and cumulative impact of structures and clearing within the significant woodlot with wetland and wildlife habitat. On that basis, the committee is satisfied that the application is of a minor request. The request maintains the general intent and purpose of the official plan and zoning bylaw and is desirable and appropriate for the development of the subject property. I guess, Mayor Bridge, you just need to call that question if there are any other, unless there's other questions.
Any other questions?
Uh,
Councilor Faulkner.
Is there a possibility of putting amendment to that motion?
Sure.
That the $150 fee to Maitland Valley Conservation be paid?
Sure.
11's been paid. 150 one.
Oh, it's been paid.
What else have they
I'm
got?
confused.
Oh, they've got another, application fee of $2,500,
Oh, yeah.
for completion of work in a authority regulated area. And,
2,500.
yeah. And I've wrote Brandy a letter to see if what we can do about it, cause I mean, the whole building's, that's half what the building's worth.
Okay, I don't know if I want to, you want to put an amendment that he's already
No,
paid
if it's been
150?
paid, I don't have to put it in.
Like, I mean, they can deal with Maitland Valley based on that, I think.
$150 is paid, if that's.
Yeah.
Oh, so I was
Hello?
under the
My
understanding it
only
wasn't.
question through you, Mayor Bridges, do you have any concerns or questions on the conditions, or are you okay with, there seems to be a fair number of conditions set out in the adjustments. Are you okay with that, the variance?
Nothing has to really change, it's, if we
Okay.
leave it the way it is, no, we're okay with those.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I just, I step back, sorry, Mayor Bridge, to the delegation guys. I step back, did I hear, and I mean, I'm a little hard to hear, and I apologize for that, but did I hear something about there's hundreds of these buildings around? Sugar shacks,
All the
like,
ones that
that have
they've
been put up, without the proper building permits?
That'd have been hundreds of years ago too, like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just sitting back there, so, back in the day when.
And I think you were referring not just to our township, you're
No,
referring to
no,
other
no.
townships.
And I mean, that's kind of disturbing, but, I mean, what happens if we don't, allow the minor variance, the buildings come
We
down?
take them down.
Come down.
I mean, that's not right according to, what we've heard, and, I mean, two wrongs don't make a right here.
No.
I
No,
mean, if we've got buildings going up that shouldn't be going up, somehow we have to stop that. And is it education?
And that's my, Mayor Bridge? That's my concern is that to develop an attitude within the community that let's do something and we'll ask for forgiveness later. And boy, that's a dangerous, dangerous road to go down. That's my only concern with this issue. But I totally understand the Sugar Shack one. And I think that's all I have to say on that.
I think you have to be, and I understand, I would hope that people will come and ask, and you know what, we're very approachable at the town of Minto and at the county level. When you get situations like that, just a matter of asking, and usually we can find a way to do something. And obviously, if you're using gravity fed, it's gotta be at the bottom of the hill, right, where everything comes down, otherwise you're hauling. So, I understand that. I think maybe if anything comes out of this, and I think you've had to go through this meeting, you've had some fines to pay, you still have to deal with the Maitland Valley on your $2,500. So, you know, I think hopefully the message gets out there that, like, don't do something without asking permission first. I totally agree with you. But I think for us to say, these are very low-impact type buildings, like there's no floors in them, and there's, like, if you read the documentation, they're really rural structures, and it's not like somebody built a barn that's housing cattle or whatever out there that against the rural. So I'm willing to help a little bit here, but I think both Councillor Faulkner and Councillor Turton have a good point that, you know, if this is going on out there, we better put a stop to it and get that out.
I wasn't really saying it's going on. I mean, a lot of these guys are in the business, they've been in it for 100 years.
Yeah, I mean, if
These
it's-
guys are hanging, these shacks are hanging over and barely standing up anymore, I mean.
Yeah, and I don't know, Linda, if somebody puts a few boards to make them straight, whether we have any issue in that, you know, like
Well, obviously it has been done over
yeah,
years.
I know. I mean, but if it's a brand-new structure and the building inspector sees it, it's his job, unfortunately. I'm sure he doesn't love to do it, but his job to point it out and go after it, so.
And, just like I said, we'd advise anybody to go for a permit.
Good.
They'd ask. not
Perfect.
like this.
Thanks.
I'd just like to add that it's really just a hobby, like, it's not like it's a $1 million business back there, it's really not a money-making thing, it's just a family thing
Yeah.
to go back there and buy some syrup, like,
Yeah, I know. Okay,
it's nothing coming out of there to help pay a fine anyways,
yeah,
really.
all right. Motion, any other questions? All in favor? Carried. Oh, who did them? I said Councillor Faulkner and Councillor Elliott, sorry, it's on there. I think you read that.
Maybe not, I read a whole bunch of other things. Sorry.
Okay, you're good.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Good luck.
All right, good luck, boys.
Okay.
All right, where are we now, Billy?
Do we all have to sign it?
No, you didn't have to all sign up. Later, you gotta sign later.
Okay, here we go.
Back in,
Moved by Deputy Mayor Fisk, second by Councillor Faulkner, that the Committee of Adjustments convenes to the Town of Minto Council. All in favor? Oh, no, wait, okay.
Notices of motion, are there any?
Oh, yes, we have the notices of, disclosure of other additional items.
I'm not there yet.
Not there yet?
Uh,
Yeah, you are. That was a
Oh,
problem.
we should have done that before.
Yeah, well, that's, yeah, okay, we'll get there. All right. Additional items.
We're doing real
I got some
good.
additional items.
You have
to
to
go
umpire
over.
tonight? Okay, I'm going to talk forever.
We're good. Okay, and we'll start with Ron. We'll start this way, work forward.
I got, the only thing I have is, this week, we're hosting 2 tournaments in Palmerston, and Minto minor ball teams are both involved in them, and they're both defending champions, the midget girls, and I believe it's the Adam boys. They're both competing for inter-county championships, so if you get around, it's gonna be right through until Saturday. Saturday morning at noon, probably.
We'll wish them luck.
Okay, thank you.
No, he's not umpiring, are you?
Well, no, I can't.
No, you're
I'm coaching.
He's coaching and umpiring. It's a little bit of a
Brother won't let me.
conflict, but we're gonna see how it works out. Ron, were you up?
Yep.
I didn't have you down here. I had the other Ron.
No, I was the one that said.
All right, Ron.
He said he didn't have anything.
I did.
Okay.
Anyways, I have two issues, not two issues, two things to bring forward. For the 2016 International Plowing Match, we received our incorporation this past week, so I'm really excited about that. Now I'll be setting up bank accounts tomorrow, and Gord is looking into receiving an HST number for us. So we're good to go. And I'll be putting notices out for anybody that wishes to sit on the executive. The doctor update I thought I should bring forward as well. The applications have all gone into the College of Physicians on time and in the proper place and in the proper order, apparently. And they do not meet to make a decision until, I believe it's September the 13th or 15th in that area. So it'll be probably late September before Dr. Doyen will be practicing.
Okay, good. Thanks, Ron. Mary Lou?
I also have two issues. Just, I know it was on our email that we received on this week's agenda, but just a reminder that the Chamber of Commerce barbecue is this Thursday night at John Cox's home at 6 p.m. I hope whoever can make it. And I had asked a couple of months ago about a possible crosswalk or some sort of resolution for crossing the main street with the traffic. I've had it brought to my attention again. I just wondered if anyone had mentioned to county about the difficulty in crossing Highway 9 with traffic, and if there was any resolution or any talk.
I guess, do you want me to speak now? From a county standpoint, we'd have to, as a council, ask them to look at it, I believe. They're very reluctant to do it, so now and we are doing the reconstruction in 2000 and hopefully 15, right? Hopefully, but, you're talking about
That
down
would be
by,
the time.
the Max?
By the Max Milk or somewhere in that area of children crossing the street.
Yeah, go
If I
ahead.
may remember, the request was that we bring whatever information back we could get from the county on what happened before,
Yeah.
okay,
so we just haven't done that
Haven't-
yet.
yeah.
okay.
County
I
hasn't
appreciate
really
that.
sat yet, so I haven't really until the 15th, 14th since the last one, because they don't sit in the summer.
Okay, thank you.
But I can look into it too. And I think, Dave, you had one?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Bridge. I have two items as well. I just wanted to make sure everybody knows about the Heritage Weekend, August 23rd, 24th, 25th. There's a lot going on in Hairston, and I'm promoting the barbecue and dinner and dance on Saturday night at the arena. And matter of fact, I have tickets.
I have tickets too.
The money that's raised is going towards the Historical Society, and also tomorrow night, the Kinsman K40 Club are going to be canvassing the town with tickets, and hopefully people will be very receptive. Second thing, this past weekend, the annual Jeff Davey Memorial Ball Tournament. There was 31 teams, all from all over the place, and last year we had a little issue with on Sunday morning with a fire, and I wanted to make sure everybody understands that's all resolved, and it was a great weekend. The weather was beautiful. I think likely with 31 teams and the number of young people and older folks that were in town, all the volunteers that umpired, that looked after concession, looked after bars. It was quite an amazing event, and I'm just wondering if that group of individuals are on our volunteer list. If not, can I suggest that they do get put on, like talking the Cochrans and the Davies and the Heenans, because the number of man hours that they put into that event and the amount of money that's raised and the amount of money that's given back to different groups in the town is quite amazing. I think in the last 5 years, they're over $75,000 raised. So that group really deserves a lot of credit.
We'll make sure we get there on that one.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Terry?
I have a couple as well. The first one is 2-3 weeks ago, maybe a month ago, we had an issue with a plot in the Clifford Cemetery where the family wasn't able to bury the person that had passed because there was a tree there. Now, this tree grew there, was planted after the plots had been purchased. So I'm just wondering, that's not a very good time for a family to have to deal with that type of a situation. I'm just wondering would it take much work to just kind of go through our cemeteries and see if there are any other situations like that maybe we could remedy prior to the death in the family in the future? I don't know if it's possible or not, but.
I think Bill has been looking at that. Bill?
We included in the strategic plan the need for doing a cemetery master plan. It would be a lot of work, and I think we should do that work. It's just not something that's gonna happen next week or next month. It's gonna take several months to do that. But we should be surveying the land, more accurately locating things, updating our records. We're dealing with records that are many, many years old, so all I can say is that's a strategic direction of the town. It's work that will take a lot of time, and that we'll endeavor to do that, and we'll bring that forward to you, but that's gonna be several months in the making. And I would say that I believe I spoke to those people, and our staff did handle them very, very well, and I know it's a very difficult time, and we don't like to do it, but I think the staff handled them very well.
And the second one is with respect to the repavement job on Highway 89 here. They've done a wonderful job paving, done a reasonable job on the shoulders, but the shoulders are only about 4 feet, I think, and then it drops off. There's 6 to 8 inches of gravel that's been packed there, and I think it could be a hazard for the buggies. I think our Public Works supervisor had mentioned that the buggies themselves are hard on the pavement, so they're probably going to have to be on the pavement more than they would normally be if those shoulders were wider. I know they didn't allow us to have a bike path there, but I would have thought they could have at least done the full shoulder and allowed the buggies to travel the shoulders rather than on the shoulder as well as the pavement. And I don't know what we do about that, but I think we should point it out to them.
Mayor Bridge, if I may, perhaps we could ask the Public Works Director to see if they are in fact finished.
Yeah.
I think they may be, but.
You never know.
We're pretty much finished, but I'll bring it forward to next meeting.
But they did. Okay.
We could do an email response to you as to what they're thinking and whether they're done or not.
As to the cemetery issue, I know, and I talked to the family as well, and it's the same problem. We have the same problem in Harrison. You look on a map, it says there's a plot available, and you get down there, it's a big tree. So we do have to get that work done because it's very difficult. And Clifford is a tough situation. We've had more than one, and it's really stressful, and already a stressful time. So I totally agree with that. It's unfortunate, but we have to do a bit of work on the records. And I guess I only have one, and make sure everybody comes to the Palmerston Fair. Certainly Friday night, we'll have some good times there, and we'll see you out there. And Heritage Days, I'm looking forward to that too as well. We've got lots of neat things. I don't know if the council actually did donate $25 for three times, or $75 for the essay competition, which they did, and they had something like 47 essays. It was very limited time to get them in, but they had 47 essays on a different history of Harrison. So, and it is the 135th birthday of Harrison, I believe somebody told me.
Yes, it is.
It is.
Mayor Bridge, I had 2 items.
Oh, yes, you did. I'm sorry, Bill. I had you right down here, 2 items right there.
I received an email on the weekend from Mike McDougall, one of our firefighters, informing me that Miss Brittany Lenslink was representing the town of Minto and Fergus at the Miss Ontario Firefighter Competition. She did very well and now is the new Miss Ontario firefighter.
Awesome.
Representing the province. The fire chief asked me to bring this forward and let you know this, and that he will be bringing her to a
Terrific.
future
Awesome.
council meeting. So that's the first thing. Second thing relates to your calendar, which was in your package. We had a council meeting scheduled for September 3rd. It's a proposal that we'd like to move that meeting to August 27th at 2:30 p.m. If you want to move that meeting, we'd like to have a motion of council to do that. Just to further to that, point out, we have scheduled budget meetings. First budget meeting would be November 26th at 1 o'clock. And the second budget meeting would be January 23rd at 1 o'clock.
January 23rd?
At 1 o'clock, that's Thursday evening, Thursday morning, sorry, Thursday afternoon. These are advanced so that we can have a majority of council or all of council at the meetings if possible, because I know the treasurer is pulling out his hair because we moved them forward, but we're,
Board's all right with it.
unless council has any serious objections to that, then those will be, this would be the calendar.
23rd.
Also, just to let you know that Friday, the 27th of December, Monday and Tuesday, the 30th and 31st, we propose to close the municipal office on those days. The staff would take vacations or personal days for those days. They would be in doing payroll and things, and of course, our public works people would be plowing snow and our facilities would be open, but the administrative building would not. So if we had a motion to approve the revised calendar, that would include the relocation of that council meeting from the 3rd to August 27th. And note that that is a 2:30 start on the 27th.
So moved.
Moved by Councilor Elliott, seconded by Councilor Turton, all in favor? Carried. Okay.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge.
One question, the Christmas party is the 14th of December. Has that been solidified?
I don't know.
I do not have a date for the Christmas party yet.
I don't know. You know what?
Fire chief will have that
Uh,
very shortly.
I was told,
I was told.
I think it's 14th of December.
I think she,
Yep.
I did see something
Yeah,
somewhere.
I thought.
That
it was
is 14th of December.
14, okay.
Thank you.
We already did that one.
Okay, unless we already.
I think they told you the 14th and everybody else.
Yeah, maybe they didn't tell you the right. Moved by Councilor Caldwell, second by Deputy Mayor Fisk, that the council of the town of Minto ratifies the motions made in the committee of the whole. All in favor? Moved by Councilor Elliott, second by Councilor Faulkner, that the bylaw number 2013-60 being the bylaw to adopt the Ontario Regulations 191-11 integrated accessibility and amend the appointment bylaw to appoint Matthew Dubers to the County Wellington Accessibility Committee be introduced, read first, second, and third time, no passed, open council, seal of the corporation. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Deputy Mayor Fisk, second by Councilor Turton, that the bylaw number 2013-61 being the bylaw to authorize the mayor and the CEO clerk to sign documents related to the sale of the town-owned lands, 24 George Street North, Harrison, to Jeremy Metzger and Jeffrey Metzger be introduced and read in first, second, and third time, passed on the council, seal of the corporation. All in favor? Very good.
What was that?
What are you doing?
I'm just clearing my throat.
Moved by Councilor Henry, second by Councilor Elliott. Oh, Councilor Henry can't do that.
Oh, I missed that one.
That's that one, I need Deputy Mayor Fisk. Fortunately, Councilor Hamlin had to go to work, so that's why he's not here. Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor Fisk, second by Councilor Elliott, that the bylaw number 2013-62 being the bylaw to amend zoning bylaw number 0186 is amended to rezone part of John Street, part lot 79, lots 37, 43, 80, 84, plan of Clifford Ball Field to be introduced and read first, second, and third time, and passed in open council and seal of the corporation. All in favor? Carried. Passed. Moved by Councilor Turton, second by Deputy Mayor Fisk, the bylaw number 2013-63 being the bylaw to temporarily close the traffic from 6:30 p.m. until 8 p.m. on Friday, August 23rd, 2013 in Palmerston from Daly Street starting at Norman Street traveling towards White's Road between Daly Street to Main Street between White's Road to James Street to King Street from James to Queen Street from King to Young Street, ending in the entrance to the Palmerston Arena parking lot, introduced and read in first, second, and third time, passed the open council, seal of the corporation.
You say that without reading it?
You know what? That's why it's like a 5-bag candy thing, that parade. It's long. Takes 5 bags of candy in that one.
Oh, who's doing it?
Whose turn is it? No, I don't. Moved by Deputy Mayor Fisk, second by Council Turton, bylaw number 2013-64, being the bylaw to erect three-way stop signs at the intersection of John Street and Adelaide Street. Harris be introduced and read. First, second, and third time passed in open council and seal with seal of corporation. All in favor? Moved by Councillor Caldwell, second by Councillor Elliott, the bylaw number 2013-66, being the bylaw to authorize the mayor and the CEO clerk to sign all documents related to the offer of purchase agreement by North, is it says North Star, or NRS Store, Inc., for Lot 5 Harrison Industrial Park, be introduced and read. First, second, and third time passed in open council, seal with seal of the corporation. All in favor? Moved by Councillor Faulkner, second by Councillor Caldwell, that bylaw number 2013-67 being the bylaw to authorize the mayor and the CEO clerk to sign all documents related to the offer to purchase agreement by Tim and Michelle Thalen, Part Lot 24, Concession 1, 61R, 186, Part 2, be introduced, read first, second, third time, passed by open council, and seal with seal of the corporation. All in favor? Moved by Councillor Elliott, second by Councillor Turton, that bylaw number 2013-68 being the bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the August 6th, 2013 committee and council meeting be introduced and read in first, second, third time, and passed open council and seal with seal of the corporation. All in favor? Carried. Moved by Councillor Faulkner, second by Deputy Mayor Fisk, the Council of Town of Minto adjourned to meet again at the call of the mayor. All in favor? That one never gets